Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to e-ENEXPRO Plus FruitTrade Food and Future 2021, the most important meeting for international agribusiness to be celebrated between October 25th and 29th. We greet the authorities, businessmen, and all our guests that are following our broadcasting on the screens of 24horas.cl, latercera.com, and cualestuhuella.cl. In these last 2 years, the world has been under a particular moment of time where we were challenged by a pandemic that affected the social and economic development of our world. These challenges also affected the international commerce and the way how we relate with our business partners and clients. New trends in consumption are challenging the way how we develop our business models. For this reason, in a second year in a row, ProChile is hosting this trade fair in a virtual manner. Also, for the first time, this trade fair is associated to Fedefruta in the FruitTrade 2021. This event started yesterday with some very interesting virtual meetings between purveyors, exporters, and importers of 30 different markets all over the world. This trade fair has a very important core: sustainability, quality, innovation, and new ways to relate with final clients are the new challenges that ProChile is facing to ensure the best support for the Chilean agribusiness to thrive in the international market. As always, we ensure that these meetings will be very successful in helping the Chilean agribusiness to reach the best markets in the world. ProChile and Fedefruta are hoping to meet these expectations. To start the inauguration of this trade fair that connects the Chilean offer with international needs, please welcome Mr. Jorge Ryan Schutz, General Director of ProChile.
Thank you, Andres. Good morning, everybody. First of all, a warm greeting to all those who are here online in the opening of e-ENEXPRO plus FruitTrade Food and Future 2021, especially authorities, the Minister of Agriculture, Maria Emilio Undurraga, exporting company which put the strength of exports, directors of the unions or trade unions of food, and those panelists who have accepted to share, and yet you will be able to hear during this event. And a warm greeting to all the audience of this program. Be everybody welcome to the main annual exporting meeting of the Chilean food industry, 100% digital, where all companies will hold virtual meetings with importers from all around the world. And, well, we will see the trends and opportunities offered by the international markets. In this way, thanks to technology, where Chile has had a very important digital transformation, we will have 220 exporter companies from all the regions of the country with more than 230 international buyers from 30 different international markets, all with a common goal: achieving good business for our companies, and with this, contribute to the reactivation of our economy at a national and regional level. So to begin with, I would like to share very briefly, from the ProChile perspective, some of the achievements of the area in foreign trade, the trends of the industry, and what we're doing to adapt to this new reality. The agri-foods sector in Chile is one of the most dynamic of the national economy, with a contribution to the GDP, which is almost 5%. This generates about 370,000 direct jobs in the country. The exports of the agricultural sector in Chile reached $16.2 billion, concentrating 47% of the total value of the sales of non-copper goods. This year, between January and September, the exports of food have added up to $13.9 billion, 10.6% more than the same period of last year. The exports of organic food are $272 million, growing a 13% when compared to the previous year. But more than the figures, the Chilean food industry is constantly adapting and growing according to the demands of the consumers in the world, with strong innovation, future views, and technology in the production processes and elaboration processes, which add up to a modern logistic and infrastructure for exports to contribute to healthcare and well-being of people. A strong concern all around the world, and Chile contributes to the world. This is the case of products like organic foods in diverse categories, functional foods, free of, and also olive oil and fresh fruit, among others, in which Chile is a leading exporter in the world. An example of this are cherries, apples, dried plums, and providers for agriculture. These high standards of safety with innocuity and traceability and also sustainability. Doubtlessly, we have a road to travel. A lot of products have advanced on this roadmap, and we have to incentivize this, follow this roadmap to be competitive at the world level. The challenge is to move from words to action, move from commitments to actual changes, something that ProChile has incentivated. Producers need to deepen their measuring of impact and emissions, taking care of water resources, incorporate circular economy, include non-conventional renewable energies, just like solar and wind. It's not just price and quality. We need to go beyond the demands, adapting, and not only respond to the changes in the markets. This is a race where everybody has a responsibility, and sustainability needs to be owned not just as fulfilling a requirement, but a way to understand production and agricultural business. ProChile is doing this, and we're going to keep on driving this. e-ENEXPRO and FruitTrade Food and Future 2021, organized by ProChile and Fedefruta, wants to be a specific example of the varied display of the Chilean food sector, like the strength of this public-private alliance to drive international agendas, supporting the exporting sector of agro-foods. Specifically, in sectoral brands in ProChile, we have 10 sector brands of the 18 we have, which represent almost $12 billion in exports to the world in 2020, which are addressed to consumers, opinion leaders, and importers of markets such as Brazil, the United States, China, Spain, Japan, South Korea, Philippines, India, and Thailand. With these campaigns, we seek to position our exporting sector in its target segments, contributing to the growth of our export as well as the image of Chile in the world. Until September this year, we have serviced almost 1,400 exporting companies, which represent for us 86% of the goal proposed for this year, and 64% of the total of the exporting companies that work with ProChile. This group of companies is responsible of exports for an amount close to $12.3 billion. We hope to close the year with a support by ProChile in $15 billion in exports. This figure is a reflection of multiple virtual activities and essential activities where we have prepared in this pandemic period with the agro-food sector, and we have developed this year. I quote, specifically, in sea products, ProChile has implemented a robust working plan for the international promotion, consisting in the participation in the largest circuits of international fairs of the area. Boston Seafood, Expo Seafood, Brussels, Conxemal, and China Fisheries. Development of 3 sectoral brands, Salmon Chile, Austral Fish Chile, and Patagonia, with Asia and Expo, with more than 100 exporters and 70 national exporters, and a forecast of $76 million. And what was the cost? The cost was 4 million pesos, organized by our people. Last week, we ended a business meeting between Chile and Brazil, our main commercial partner in South America. 3 days of business meetings with 100 exporting companies and 80 Brazilian importers in the sea products area, processed foods, gourmet fruits, fresh fruits, vegetables, dried fruits, dehydrated and lifeless, meat, wines, and beer. Food innovation couldn't be absent from this. Plus to cybersecurity and agriculture. We had more than 1,000 business meetings of fresh fruit and focused on the diversification of the markets. 36 Chilean companies took part in the second virtual mission by ProChile, together in Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and India for July. We drove the national offering with 37 exporters, more than 300 meetings. They managed to connect to the business meetings, and that was managed to connect 442 business meetings between Chilean exporters and exporters from 13 markets of Europe and Middle East, and 100% virtual. Immediate business was made for $35 million and forecast for sales for $113 million in 12 months, according to estimations of the importing companies. This doubtlessly has an effect in the SMEs and in the economy. 2022, ProChile closed the gathering of the Export Fund for Agro-Industry, which will have 2.5 billion pesos, so that the companies can strengthen their internationalization area and prepare for the opening of the markets. A channel where ProChile has placed the focus has been e-trade, and we have generated alliances with important international platforms like Alibaba, so that the Chilean exporters can export their products, listen, to 192 potential markets: the United States, India, Canada, Brazil, Australia, United Kingdom, Russia, Mexico, among others. To say, thanks to this agreement, our beneficiaries will have the possibility to reach segmentedly and efficiently to more than 260 million consumers, the registered members of Alibaba.com. Together with this, we have the collaboration alliances with eBay, where Chilean companies are already exporting through this platform. In the specifics, we define October 2021 as the month of the promotion of agro-foods in Chile. In this way, we took part a short while ago presentially in the Nougat Fair in Germany and Fruit Attraction Madrid. With more than 100 companies in each of the events, ProChile was partnered of the summit IFTALKS 2021 in Madrid. The food tech and innovation companies exposed their creations to importers of all of Europe, and we concluded successfully the Chile-Brazil encounter, and we had 10 videos of the agro-exporting sector for their international promotion, co-built with the unions of our country. When I listen to this, I get tired, but according for the citizens, we need to show what the resources are invested in. So I'm very grateful and very proud of the people that work in ProChile, here and making a country outside. In the Expo Dubai, we also took part as Chile, an event that began this month in UAE and has a lot of relevance for the trade in Chile with the Middle East, Africa, and the South of Asia. The door to the Islamic world, when we talk about diversifying exports, a world with 1.7 billion consumers. These actions have supported September 2021 2,663 Chilean companies in generating international business, 60% of them exporters. And finally, and conscious of the future, ProChile leads the sustainability roundtable of the agro-export sector. And we developed some initiatives to work in association with all the sector to implement policies that are overarching to all the industry and which will position Chile as an actual international competitor, internationalizing sustainability with actual arguments, with certifications that show coherence between what we say and what certifies us. Thank you for trusting ProChile. October, we review the launch of the sustainability policy of the institution. A sustainability policy, a state policy that seeks to integrate sustainability in the DNA of our institution as an overarching element in its strategic management, focusing on three criteria: environmental, social, and economic. In this way, ProChile aspires to be a modern public service. We can do it, and sustainable to 2030, basing the action in 5 strategic pillars: responsible conduct, conscious company, sustainable governance, training and sensitization, and sustainable trade. Impacts for the Chilean food industry with the logistics and the new trends and aspects that we will have the opportunity to review in the following minutes in this event through outstanding professionals and businessmen. This is current affairs, and here we have logistics and transportation, about the serious problems that are being generated in the international trade, not only because of lack of containers. In this aspect, we will have the opportunity of listening to the vision of an important company for the cargo movement. Puerto Valparaíso has the management, exploitation, and development and conservation of this important maritime terminal in Chile. Together with valuing the presence of all of you today, I want to thank once again, very specially, all the teams of ProChile who from the region in Santiago and from our commercial offices in the world have made possible conducting this event. Thank you very much, especially to the food department of ProChile. The same thing to thank the directives of Fedefruta and professionals of Fedefruta to add this opportunity of the Food Trade 2021. We hope we have excellent working days. And last, I want to wish to the Chilean exporting companies and the importers from the different markets to have a very productive business meetings until Friday, the 29th of October. Good morning, and thank you very much. Thank you, Director. I will stand here to your side with a masked up, of course, since the cases have been increasing for the last days. We need to have social distancing, masks, etc. And at least we have been tested. 3 vaccinations. So thank you, Director, for your words. And doubtlessly, the program is looking good for the exporters of our country. As you said in your speech, e-ENEXPRO, FruitTrade Food and Future 2021 is conducted thanks to the work together, joint work by government and companies, and we will have the words from the guests to this event who will mention the relevance of sustainability, quality, innocuity in the international markets. As first guest and allied to the development of this activity, we want to point out the Federation of Fruit Producers, Fedefruta. I leave Jorge Valenzuela, President of Fedefruta, who will tell us about an on-site greeting for the producers and the challenges that this important segment of the economy of this country must face with the current scenario. Hello, my name is Jorge Valenzuela, President of Fedefruta. I want to greet especially Jorge O'Ryan, Director of ProChile, and their team, and also all the producers and the importers that are together with us today. For us, this day is very special because for the first time in the history, FruitTrade is joined with ProChile and ENEXPRO for a joint event. In this climate change environment, specifically in Chile, we, as farmers, we have been prepared to have a sustainable and safe production. Climate change invites us to rethink several factors, specifically the water crisis. Specifically, the drought that we are living in our country has made us, as farmers and fruit growers, to conduct all the investments to be able to assure the food and the fruit that everybody needs. We want to provide the assurance to all our exporters and supermarkets in the world that we're working strongly to overcome the climate change crisis and being able to provide assurance of supply to all of our buyers. Also, we're working very strongly in what is food safety. The protocols have been fine-tuned, specifying more and more so that everywhere in the world, children, senior citizens can eat our healthy food. I want to invite you to actively take part in this business meetings. I want to thank you for the commitment and the participation of the farmers and the importers, exporters. It is a very special day, and I want to wish you a lot of success and to have an excellent round of meetings. And a fundamental ally of ProChile for the international promotion works of the Chilean food is the Ministry of Agriculture through the National Agricultural Development Fund. With this, we have the greetings from the Minister of the area, Maria Emilia Undurraga.
Good morning. I would like to say hello to the General Director of ProChile, Jorge Ryan, the President of Fedefruta, Jorge Valenzuela, and everyone who has joined us today in this event. I would like to thank the invitation to be part of this inauguration of the e-ENEXPRO plus FruitTrade Food and Future 2021, the main annual event of the food industry in Chile, in its second year, online, and for the first time organized together with Fedefruta. International commerce these last 2 years has faced many challenges due to the pandemic, such as adjusting to new needs of the market, changes in the trends of consumptions, to value attributes to sustainability, the higher use of technology, and also changes in the sales channels, logistics, and others. Chile and its production of food has not been out of this challenge, but due to the capacity of the sector and the collaborative work of the different actors that we have today, we have been able to face each one of the scenarios and accomplishing in 2021 that different exports of Chile to record important and significant increase when it comes to the same period in 2020. And this is the result of several factors, and I would like to highlight some of them, such as the collaboration that we have made in the public and private sector, that we have as agricultural minister in ProChile, the phytosanitary conditions of excellence that our country has, which is a guarantee to speed up the processes of our products to international markets. And in this sense, I would like to highlight the work from SAC and different agricultural farms in the world. So we have 27 sanitary processes in 2020 and 26 so far this year, and this is closely related to the collaboration strategy that the ministry has with ProChile in the work of promotion and diversification of different agricultural products with the export fund. And I would like to invite all of you to continue participating in the different meetings with different exporters that would allow to get to know different markets, and with that to come close to different business opportunities. So these 3 days of intense activities hopefully will be very beneficial and success to all of you. Thank you.
We thank the Minister of Agriculture, Maria Elena Undurraga, and Jorge Valenzuela, President of Fedefruta, for their best wishes and the kindness of having sent us their greetings, and the President of Chile, Jorge Ryan. Well, it's a pleasure for me to be here directly from Studio 5, Mr. Sergio Livingston Prohammer, a soccer fan, just, a warm greeting to him. Thank you.
Thanks to you, to each one of you. Thank you for the hands that are working, irrigating, and harvesting. Thank you for the fruit. Thank you for the ideas that brighten us, the talent. Thank you. Thank you for the energy that is moving our exporting offers for the good way. Thank you. And also for your passion that makes us better, and from the gesture that helps us. Thank you. To create and innovate. Thank you for taking care of our earth and its future. Thank you for respecting the origin and its heritage. Thank you. Thank you to each one of you. Thank you. Thank you for this virtuous chain of exporting, for continuing to contribute to the world with the best that we can offer.
Sustainability, innocuity, and innovation are currently the strategic pillars for the internationalization of the food industry in Chile. These are natural things for what the ProChile and the companies want to install in the international markets. Expo FruitTrade Food and Future 2021 is to face the challenges of the coronavirus pandemic in the country, and specialization and innovation to adding value of our productive chain.
The Chilean industry of food is in constant adjustment and growth. And this is, of course, according to the needs of our consumers around the world. The focus is in trying to contribute to the care of health and well-being of people.
The customer has changed, is a totally responsible customer for the product and the process of this product. And for this value chain to be comprehensive, we need to execute it properly, structure it, and this is what
our country highlights as the main exporter of some products during 2020, fresh cherry, salmon, plums, apples, and at the same time has positioned as the third most important exporter of grapes, berries, and all of these products are a record at the exporting level, and we are the #1 around the world. So having the Chile brand is something that will contribute.
Has the Andes mountain range provides a sanitary barrier for biosafety, and this is a plus because we have a safeguard for plagues and diseases.
Innovation in food production is one of the key factors for the Chilean industry, since currently, as ProChile and all the industry is favoring the development of food consumption trends free of additives, fortified food, functional ingredients, food supplements, and Chile right now is developing a vast offer. And the difficult thing is for this seed to be able to find industrial processes that would allow us to have this result, to have a very fine dust that is going to mix properly with the liquid, so we are not going to have any grains there. So we are innovating in this process, but using natural products and processes that are not using chemicals or solvents.
Mainly, what we have implemented as a technology is to be able to have the use of the data, and this provides us more efficient irrigation with people who are better trained and have that mix, that the water use is the correct one, efficient, and the least possible.
Well, I believe that as entrepreneurs, we need to consider that everything that we do will have an influence in the pollution that we are going to have. The contributions that we can make as a company are important. If you do this as a company, then everyone working with you is going to look at this example, and they are going to adapt behaviors that have a better behavior, both socially and environmentally.
Now, as we were telling you, here I come, one of the goals of e-ENEXPRO FruitTrade Food and Future 2021 is to bring the exporter to the challenges imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic and the climate crisis. We have specialization and innovation efforts to add value to our productive chain and to welcome you to the foods in Chile. I'm going to introduce the people who are going to be with us. One of the public institutions allied to ProChile in this aspect is Achipia. It's important to point out that this organization is the agency that coordinates and drives the National Innocuity and Food Quality Agency. And this is coordinating all the players that take part in the food chain. We will welcome Nuri Gracia Rebolledo. Welcome to this panel.
Thank you, Andres.
One of the bodies I'm going to continue.
Sí, una de
Here,
las
one of the
instituciones
bodies,
públicas
government bodies,
aliadas de ProChile,
allied of
en
ProChile
este
in
aspecto
this
en el país.
aspect
No, vamos
in the
a seguir con la
country,
siguiente
we're going to
presentación,
continue with the
parte
following
importante
presentation.
del
An important
trabajo
part
que
of the
realiza
work
la red de más de
conducted by
56
the network of more than
oficinas que
56
ProChile
trade
tiene en el
offices
mundo
in the world
se relaciona con el
of
contacto y
ProChile
búsqueda de nuevos
relates with the
importadores
contact
para
and
los
seeking
productos y
new
servicios
importers
chilenos.
for the
Por eso,
products and
en
services
este
from
evento de
Chile.
inauguración
In
hemos
this
querido
opening
contar con el
event, we
testimonio
wanted
de
to
uno de
have the
ellos para
testimony of
conocer
one of
su
them
visión y punto
to
de
know
vista acerca
the
de los
view
alimentos
and their
chilenos
point of
y
view
los
about
desafíos
the Chilean
que se deben
foods and the
enfrentar. Desde
challenges to be
Colombia,
faced. From
saludamos a
Colombia,
Astrid
we
Suárez,
welcome Astrid
gerenta
Suárez,
general de Green
General
and
Manager of
Fresh
Green
Limitada.
and Fresh Limited.
Astrid, bienvenida.
Astrid, welcome.
Hi, Andres.
También
Thank you very much.
We also want to greet other guests. One of the symbol companies of the innovation work of the food Chilean industry is Live Green Company, which uses AI to make 100% vegetable or foods which are healthy, tasty, and environmentally sustainable. With a team of engineers and biotechnologists, they designed a software known as Characa, where they included a database of about 1,000 plants and their properties to be able to tell us about details on this work and their ascension in international markets. We have here Juan Hurtado, Development Manager, Business Manager of Live Green Company. Juan, welcome to this panel. Well, good morning. Good morning, Andres. And with the last guest, another of the issues which is well known in the world is transportation technology, and this is an issue that contacts directly the exporting process of Chile. Today, foreign trade is facing many difficulties derived of the container crisis, which is making the flow of exports a lot slower, and import also. But beyond the modernization of the transportation logistics is a constant challenge. We welcome Juan Marcos Mancilla, Logistics Manager of the Valparaíso Port, one of the leading Chilean companies of cargo movement. Well, a pleasure to participate. We're going to begin with the questions. One of the questions which is for our four guests, in the context of where food availability is critical and has been threatened by the pandemic and driven by the climate crisis, why has our country become a world reference, a key challenger?
Thank you, Andres. And because our country has maintained the production chain of food and the distribution chain during the entire pandemic, ensuring that we have enough food to all houses and also in conditions of safety as they should. As a TPA, we support different actors of the production and distribution of food during the entire process of the pandemics, where we elaborated the protocols and distribution processes, always applying the risk approach. So I believe that is part of the recipe for success, because the agricultural ministry, former ministry Walker, he started for the safe distribution chain.
Austin, same question in the distance to Colombia. Why do you see that our country has become a key player in facing these challenges?
Well, as exporters, we've had the fortune of working with the producers from Chile that have provisioned all of us during the pandemic. And of course, we continue working with them, and we are trying to overcome this great problem on the world. We are doing everything possible to work together and to be able to provision all of our customers.
We asked the same question to Juan Hurtado, who is here with us at the studio. Why is the reason that our country has become a key player? Well, we as Food Tech have developed a technology that actually one of the pillars to solve was the health. When you talked about the pandemic and the sustainability issues, well, our technology, what it does is to use innovation to be able to replace all the ingredients in foods so that they are natural, sustainable, and nutritional, or functional, like you were saying. So we, from Chile, we're a Chilean company with a world vision. Our funders are from India, and our founders are from India, and we want to show this technology and to improve the food industry, providing better solutions in terms of a more nutritional food, more sustainable food, and also more functional.
Juan Marco Macía, tu visión desde el puerto de Valparaíso.
Your view from the port of Valparaiso on this matter. Well, us, the port, we are in exports, which has to do with foreign trade of the food industry as well as of other industries. The case of Chile, we have more than 4,000 kilometers of coast, so the ports are a fundamental area for the export of goods and services. And the logistic area of the fruit is very specific. It has a lot of challenges. Why? Because fruit is a perishable produce, and technology needs to be associated to those products, needs to be state-of-the-art, everything needs to be coordinated, and this machine needs to operate properly so that the exporter can send his value proposal at the destination market. So us, as a port, want to be a facilitator in that, and I believe Chile is an excellent example of this link on the chain. We will go to the specific questions now, and we're going to begin with Nuri. Please tell us, what's the function of Achipia? It's important for the internationalization of food in Chile. What is the public-private work regarding innocuity of
Thank you, Andres, for the question, because I would like to explain what Achipia is and what is safety. And this is to ensure that food are not going to produce any harm when we eat them according to the use that they had intended. And Achipia is coordinated and articulating different actions between the different actors of the National Food and Quality Service, and this is ENICA. And which are the actors here? We have the state, where we have all the certifying entities such as SAC, the Fishing National Service, the Public Health Institute, all that have a relation with the production and distribution of food. But on the other side, since we are not regulators or certifiers here, we can carry out this articulation and to have a synergy between the different actors. And we have consumers here, we have the academic area, the scientific area, laboratories of analysis of food. We have the entire food chain from the primary production up to the retail in such a way that we can articulate and carry out actions, and which actions to see what they need to comply with the destination markets, and we help them to accomplish this. And for that, we have installed in the agency different platforms, tools, or instruments that would allow to have a better image of the country, and for the food industry to have information based on scientific matters to make decisions, and regulatory agencies that are assessing risks. So what we have done with the agencies around the world, since we are growing, we have this foundation of instruments or tools such as the food alert system, the different laboratories of analysis that the country has. We can know from outside that the destination market, they can find in which laboratories the analysis were made and what is the degree of accreditation here. So we have been already installed the process of risk assessment, and this is a process that not all countries have. In Latin America, we are just starting with this, and we have been fortunate enough to have the vision to reach agreement with the main international agencies, specifically the European Union, which are in charge of this. For example, the EPSA. We have the French Institute of Risks. We have just finished a congress together, a great Latin American symposium. So that process of assessment of food risks has already been installed in Achipia, and we have obtained this recent year the recognition of the risk agencies such as Pesca, SAC, and we've carried out 3 studies validated and harmonized together with our strategic partners, both internationals that are specialists in this topic. That is the foundation for the future. All innovation should be supported on risk
Juan,
assessment.
I'll be with you. And what is offered by Live Wind Company? Why have you contributed too much, as much to innovation, and why ProChile has supported you to open to the world? First of all, let's explain what we do. This technology began from a simple question by our founders, pretty and sassy from India, when their niece, they didn't have how to feed her with unprocessed food, 100%. So they began checking the supermarket products. We saw that 70% of the products had highly processed ingredients. So they tried to search in depth, and that humanity is running out of time. You were talking about global warming. 2050, we're going to have to feed 10 billion people, sustainability in a planet that's over-consumed. And we generated a software. So what they do is all the databases of plants where we can use machine learning and biotechnology to deliver you 100% clean alternatives to replace ultra-processed ingredients. Let me give you an example because it's difficult to understand. In Chile, we developed an ice cream which is the cleanest ice cream in the world. We removed all the highly processed ingredients, artificial ingredients, and animals, and replaced it with plants. What is this? The maltodextrin, all the ingredients of the industry to preserve the ingredients, to give it flavor and texture, we replaced it with avocado, olive oil, and several products that made the product with the same functionality in health, but with everything natural, all based in plants. And like all the ingredients are plants, everything is functional. So our ice creams have good source of protein, fiber, and all are compostable in the home. We want sustainability to be not only in the package, but also the production, fair trade, local, as close as possible. And how has ProChile helped? Well, when you are an entrepreneur with an SME, with small resources, these alliances with ProChile are very important. ProChile is the door to the world. It delivers us exposure. We have taken part in several fairs and trade shows, and also delivers credibility because you are under the umbrella of ProChile. And as it was mentioned before, ProChile is a link to all the markets. And for us, it's been very important, and we have contacts with the US market, with Canada, Mexico, with South Africa, Europe, and other countries in Latin America, such as Colombia, Argentina, Uruguay. So ProChile is a key alliance that opens you to the world. Well, Colombia, we're going to go, Colombia. Astrid, in your role of buyers, what do you consider important to choose your suppliers? What has been your experience with Chilean suppliers? How do you see the importance that the Colombian consumer is giving to this trend of innocuity of foods?
Well, when we choose our providers, the first thing that we look for is that they need to adjust to our financial markets. We need to create our commercial alliances where we can build a relationship over time. And we also carry out some assessment about innovation and food safety. The experience that we have with our Chilean producers has been ongoing for more than 15 years. We work with producers that have a lot of experience, and they also have a great capacity of response, and they work with us in different teams in order to adjust to the needs of our market. And when it comes to innovation, since we work with different areas, of course, this is something that we consider, but the safety, it is a fundamental topic. We work with pears, with apples and different fruit, and we need to carry out the traceability of the products in order to ensure our customers that these are products that have been produced in a very safe manner. And of course, we need to consider that they are safe enough to be in our house and renewable products as well.
So we will continue with our round of questions. I was commenting a few minutes before that we were living a very complex period for the international freighting of goods. We commented the container crisis, the raising costs. Why is this raising cost happening? And related to this, how is the Valparaiso port preparing for the opening of the fruit season? Well, I thank you for the question because we're talking... Myth? No, it's not a myth. There is a problem which is deeply economic between supply and demand. COVID during 2020 affected a lot of industries, and doubtlessly the port industry was affected. And why do I say from the supply? Because a lot of ports were closed, especially in the Asian market at the beginning of the pandemic. And that meant also that a lot of ports will not service the ships, and many containers were inland without being shipped, or they were just floating in the water. So in addition to that, when this improved a little bit, when this came, a ship Ever Given was blocked the Suez Canal. It was a week there, and what a week, because all the flow and the itinerary of the ships begin to delay. And when this delay, we have more containers which are jammed in ports or in the sea. And this makes the supply to be very limited. Now, the demand, also, on the contrary. So when COVID and the pandemic changed the patterns of consumption of people, so a whole budget people, you and I, or whoever, spent in vacations, in the movies, went down. And part of that was moved to buying goods. In the case of, we were sitting at home, more time, and then you're like, oh, I'd like to fix this room. And, for example, I'd like to change my TV, my refrigerator. So the demand also varied. Only in Chile? No, not only in Chile. This is a phenomenon that happened all over the world, and also it is received an impact because many governments, not only Chilean, have injected liquidity or funds through this aid, so people have more money to spend. So it's a chain, and therefore container in the water, less availability, delayed itineraries, and this presents a challenge. And I complement with the last part of your question, how are we preparing? The Valparaiso port is specialist in fruit. We begin the fruit season, especially with the cherry season, preparing for the Chinese New Year. Last year it was an issue, and now it begins on February the 1st. The Chinese New Year. The first shipping is going to be sent for November the 16th. This is the day after tomorrow. So we need to have the processes ready, the technology and the personnel, because the port worker link is also very relevant in this. So we want to prepare the fruit season. So let's continue with the innovation. Our producers, are they daring to innovate in the processes? And I will complement the know-how that we have acquired in this matter. Is it interesting for the international agro-food industry?
Well, I believe that our producers are doing a very good job, and they are preparing themselves, and they are actually daring to do things. We have an example here at the Live Green Company that last week participated in an event of food transformation, and we see all the innovations that we are doing. But from our job as a safety food agency, I can tell you that the important thing is to carry out a good collaborative work between the public and private sector, especially with our agency that coordinates and articulates the relationship, because all the innovations, as mentioned by our colleague from Live Green Company, they are adding or changing ingredients. Technologies are changing, different processes. And for that, our destination markets want to ensure that those food will not be detrimental for the health of their consumers. So, what is happening around the globe is that all food, in order to be certified, they need to be supported or backed up by analysis and evaluation, analysis of risk, and that has been implemented by the agency. And what does that mean? Just in plain words, it means that that food produced under set conditions for an objective market, this could be for children or for the elderly, a lot of food are addressed to these markets will not be harmful for them. So this risk assessment here will have a very scientific foundation where we need to have information regarding the intake of said food in that sector that we are trying to aim for example, for the elderly, how they are going to cook this, the intended use and the toxicity of a possible pollutants or non-pollutants, because we maybe changed some products with a different nutritional value, but that additive or that natural food naturally could be really rich in metals. So here, the risk assessment is something here to stay. And we have very good news, because even though in this year we have been working with certifying and regulating bodies, the risk assessors that will carry out the different levels of safety. Next year, we are trying to open this risk assessment for the private sector in such a way that we can support this food that are being produced with a scientific foundation. And for that, I hope to create the consultant advice of the different areas for producers of food. And on the other hand, we are implemented something that is very important and that the industry needs to take care of is risk communication, but risk communication with a prevention and educational approach. Atipia does that to educate all consumers. So if a company has a problem because they have a breakdown in the food safety, the consumers already will know how to manage their risks. For example, during the pandemic, we learned a lot about what the risks are. We are washing our hands in a better way. We were doing that with children. We have a tool, which is a box where we teach children to wash their hands, and they can see if they did a good job or not. And there is a ultraviolet light system here. So we have a higher sensitivity for risk. So I believe that we are facing a great opportunity as industry to come closer to our consumers with this communication approach that will be of prevention and education. And we were scared of that before, but on the contrary, the company should be closer to the consumers, because you may have a problem someday.
I will ask you a more macro question. What is the competitive advantage of Chile in exports? What is the value proposal of the national producers? How do you see that? Well, as Nuri said, last week we were in the catalog of the top 10 of Transforma Alimentos. And here I noticed the amount of innovation and technology projects we have in Chile. And I believe that from the entrepreneur, we're daring to do things, to develop new things, and not only think in Chile and of the world, like thinking out of the box. Yes, I believe this is a mindset that is changing in Chile. We didn't think on the export market usually, like corner shop, not go. There were companies that were founded thinking that their technology, their product would be exported. So I believe that in Chile, and as I was telling you, we have 50 excellent projects where innovation, development, technology were also different solutions. We had agricultural solutions, innocuity solutions, infrastructure solutions. not only when they showcased those projects were thinking in Chile, but they were thinking how to quickly reach the world market. They were thinking outside of the world. I believe that Chile is an excellent country to test. For example, it was an excellent country for us to test because Chile is hand in hand with world trends in food, the markets. It's on the way to there. So we validate all products in Chile, but always thinking that our product needs to be, of course, in the US, Mexico, in Colombia, South Africa. But Chile is an excellent market to run pilot programs. Chile is one, but also there's several government supports from different bodies that help drive this and to make this a lot faster. So this is the stepping stone for the entrepreneurs to grow as fast as possible, as efficient as possible. I believe that Chile is an excellent country in that area. Astrid, we continue with you from Colombia. Which are the main needs and requirements of the Colombian buyers? Is there trust and knowledge about the innocuity and quality of Chilean foods?
Well, we have always trusted on food coming from Chile because Chile is a great example when it comes to technology and the care of food. And now, of course, we are focusing on these things, and we feel complete trust that by working with providers that are certified and have technology, and also we know that they are providing very safe food, and we can provide that to our Colombian consumers. From the smallest company to the biggest one, we trust in all exporters from Chile. And the topic around safety is the most important one here because all of them are very careful when it comes to exporting. And additionally, we have the certification from SAC. And we know for sure that the products that are coming from Chile are the appropriate ones, and they have all the corresponding certifications.
I continue with Juan Marcos. In this pandemic context, going more to the local vision, how have been market demands? Have you fulfilled the terms and automation? How is everything? In the case of the Valparaíso port, obviously 2020 we lost a lot of cargo transfer, but in 2021 we see the recovery, and what a recovery, because there is of course a rebound effect. But automation not only was achieved from the point of view of the infrastructure, the crane, of the different systems, but also the systems, the logistical systems that support the operation, to support the document flow, the physical flow of all the processes of the cargo experience. So we have the port community systems which are used by the ports. Valparaíso ports, we've been 12 years with a system that we are in an update process for our platform, and we are the first port in Latin America which began working with a PCS, and this has times measurements. Whatever is not measured cannot be controlled, and if you can't control it, you can't improve it. This is a process that we continue improving, and here we are taking a technological leap with 2021 technology, the Internet of Things, sensors, anticipated coordination, thinking of all the users, the land freighter, naval companies, shippers, and where you have a lot of people entering, a lot of systems, and everything needs to be coordinated. It's not just automation of how fast the crane moves a container or transfers the load into a ship, but it's the whole automation of the background processes and the automation of the supervisory bodies, etc. Well, we will close the panel with a question for everybody. All our guests, I will begin with you, Nuri. Do you believe that the brand Chile represents quality?
I believe that we have a lot of credibility, specifically regarding safety, but I'm going to be really honest, and we are lacking when it comes to quality attributes. I'm not talking about the organoleptic quality, but it's about what the consumers from the most demanding countries are expecting. They want to know the origin of the food and the authenticity of them. And yes, but traceability based on scientific information. This is not just documents. That if I'm saying that this wine is coming from the Colchagua Valley, is not only based on the documents, but I will have information and a very sophisticated and scientific analysis. I will able to ensure that what they are doing with the Trace project in the European Union for years now, and we are producing data, a lot of information, and at the closing of this very big symposium in Latin America and the Caribbean about risk assessment that we did together with our European partners of the food safety agencies and risk assessment, they showed what the consumers are expecting in a survey that was not even published yet. And first of all, flavor. Second of all, safety of the food. And third, they wanted to know the origin of the food, the main priorities that they have. So I would like to say that we are lacking in this part, but Chile, it is, as said by the person Astrid from Colombia, we have a lot of prestige when it comes to the safety of our food. We provide healthy food for our consumers, and we have a very little events in the past regarding food safety.
Your perspective, Chile represents quality? I would say that yes. I worked also in the fruit export industry, and Chile does have does represent quality and also trust in the fruit world. But the biggest challenge in Chile is how to relate not only the quality to the commodity or the with a lot without a lot of added value, to move to added value. So the relationship with products that go beyond an apple or copper. We send copper, but we send commodities, and in other countries they're applying the adding value and innovation. I would like Chile to accept the challenge that we could all move towards from the commodities Chile to added value and innovation Chile. Yeah, but that's a very old discussion. I believe we are advancing more and more, and that's what motivates me in your project. How a Chilean company located in San Fernando invites all the food industry, all the retailers, to take a look at how we elaborate products and deliver a healthy solution. So we hope this Chilean company is representing quality in an industry and everywhere in the world. I believe that there's a gigantic challenge and a story that has a long road to travel. But Chile represents quality, but we need more in added value. Astrid from Colombia, Chile, does it represent quality?
Yes. Chile is a synonym of quality, and we can see that here in Colombia. In Colombia, we work with apples during the entire season, with different fruits as well. And Chile is very well positioned when it comes to quality. So we need to continue working together. And our work so far has been a success. And we continue working on having the same concept of quality for the country that is coming from Chile in the best conditions.
Well, Marco, from your point of view, do we represent quality? I believe that more than my view, I will keep the view of the people who look at us from outside. I believe it's very valuable to listen to Astrid's opinion. She says yes. So not to avoid the question, from the activity I perform, I believe yes, today the Chilean ports work in a way that is recognized in the Latin American context. We have quality processes, but the call is to not to remain careful, attentive, not to believe we're the best because so there's another economy that effectively towards the north who are reaching us, and some processes are being surpassed. So yes, we're a quality brand, but yes, do not rest. Nuri, Astrid from the distance, Juan Marco, we thank you for your presence in this conversation to give different points of view in such an important issue that we've been talking about today.
Thank you very much.
And like this way, we're closing our opening event, e-ENEXPRO Food Trade 2021, but we want to invite you to be with us with an interesting workshop on the food and the challenges in logistics that is going to be after this opening. Tomorrow, Wednesday, you can also enjoy Araucanía Day, a talk about the innovative foods in Argentina, and on Thursday, you can't miss the event Araucanía Day. In the ProChile website, www.prochile.cl, you can check the agenda for all the days and the next week in the world. Thank you all for connecting with us, and to the business people and entrepreneurs and everybody who is part of the agro-food sector, national and international. We thank our panelists and guests to this opening, and we wish a lot of luck and success in the virtual business meetings that more than 200 exporting Chilean companies are having with 200 importers from more than 30 different markets. Thank you very much for taking part in this, and it will be until the next time. I'll leave you with Jaime Quesada and the workshop that I was mentioning. Thank you very much.
See, Chile, look what we have here. From our incredible landscapes, let us tell you about us, of the talent of Chileans. We are creating the future here from the southern part of the world, where the impossible becomes possible, making things happen. Energy on this land has provided us with so many things over time. We want to share all of our contributions with the world. Look up. Do you see the stars? We see that there is the world in front of us. And we have so much to contribute to the world that we are anxious to see how far we can get from here. Chile is the experience of the southern part of the world, and we are inviting you to create a future together. Chile creating future. ProChile is totally committed with sustainability, not only in their management, but this is part of their mission as an important pillar. Our consumers are mutating. We don't have the passive buyer anymore. This is an active one, specifically due to the increase of the generation, millennials, centennials, and also pushed by the pandemic. So this new active buyer is not interested only in prices. They want to know what they are eating, how this is made, and why. And Venexia is a company transforming chia seed in ingredients that are easy to use in the food industry. The element of the future that we are developing, where Chile also is leading, is green hydrogen. And why not thinking about a food industry that is completely green with a seal of our country that will be an element of our heritage and the value to the world? Chia has been selected because it has a lot of nutritional value, and we wanted to save the world, and we wanted to share this excellent nutrition from chia. And we decided to go with the chia. We were passionate about it for the social responsibility that we wanted to disseminate. This is a very good food for our bodies. And when we started with the industrial process of the plant, we really started thinking about the processes that were going to be of a low carbon footprint and non-pollutant. So that is why we decided not to use any chemical processes to extract the chia protein, and we used the physical one, always thinking it a sustained production. And competitivity is not coming from the free trade. This is coming from sustainability as a driver for international participation. The Chilean industry of food is in constant growth and adjustment, and this, of course, according to the demands of the consumers around the world. And the focus is in trying to contribute to the care of health and well-being of people.
We see that the customer is a customer that's been changing, is totally responsible of the product and the process of this product. And so that this value chain is comprehensive, we need to do it properly and structured, and this is our concern.
Our country is the main exporter of some food during 2020. Cherries, salmon fillets, apples, and algae of industrial use. And this is the third most important exporter of fresh fruit, grapes, berries, and all of these products are at a record because Chile is the #1 at international level. And going with this brand, the Chile brand, is different.
The fact that Chile has the Andes mountain range gives us a sanitary barrier of biosafety, which is very important. And this is a plus because we have a safeguard in terms of plagues and diseases that other countries don't have.
Innovation in food production is one of the key factors for the Chilean industry because right now, as ProChile and all the industry are favoring the development of consumer trends of free of additive, fortified food, functional ingredients. Food supplements in Chile is developing a strong offering that will comply with that demand. And the difficult thing is out of this seed to find industrial processes that would allow us to have this result, to have a very fine dust that will combine well with the liquid in such a way that it won't have any grains in the mouth. And this is where we are innovating in this process, but maintaining, of course, completely natural processes that are not using chemicals, that are not using solvents, where we use very little water.
Mainly, what we have implemented as a technology is having the use of data. This has helped us to have more efficient irrigation with better trained people and have that mix of the water use being the right one, be efficient, and the less possible.
Well, I believe that as entrepreneurs, we also need to consider that everything that we do will have an influence on the pollution that we are going to produce, or the improvements that we can make through our companies are important, because if you do that as a company, then the rest of the people working with you will see this example and they are going to adapt behaviors that are of better behaviors environmentally.
How are you? Welcome. The COVID-19 pandemic and the climate crisis have generated challenges for the area of agro-industry. We've had more uncertainty in the volumes and also concerns about the possible contamination of exports. In that line, flexibility is key for the transporters or freighters due to the pandemic. In terms of new trends and innovation, digitalization and automation in terms of logistics documentation are issues of growing interest among the transporters or freighters who have found out how to adapt the requirements of the customers and offer more flexibility and tailor-made services. To get to know the efforts of the logistical chain, we will have in this workshop from Holland, Marta Delgado del Rio, customer manager of Innova Market Insight, and also Boris Aljaro, head of fruits and vegetables, Costa Oeste, South America, from Maersk. To begin this workshop, we invite Marta Delgado to tell us about the experience of the international buyers with the Chilean products, which are the opportunities, and so the floor is yours, Marta.
Hello, good morning.
Sí, te escuchamos. Cuéntanos respecto a lo que te consultaba. ¿Cuáles son estas oportunidades y los desafíos en relación a lo que estamos conversando, en relación justamente a la logística?
Well, today I'm going to talk about what are the trends for consumption when it comes to food in the world, and we are going to be focusing on the concern of the environment, and I have a presentation for that. And the first thing of this is that I would like to present Innova. We are a market intelligence company, and we are identifying trends in the food industry, and we have been doing this for more than 30 years in 90 countries. We track new innovations in the market at the retail level. And with this data and other data from market sizing and working with the consumer surveys, we can provide an entire image of what is happening in the market. So today we are going to talk about three main things. We are going to consider the consumer as the starting point and the demands in order to know what they are eating. This is important for them, and we are going to see how the care of the environment is a central topic when it comes to consuming this food. And finally, we are going to talk about problems that create the more awareness in the consumer. And this topic is related to one of our trends for this year, which is called the Transparency Triumphs. And this is something that we have seen for several years from Innova, which is very important for the consumer to know the story behind the company and to see how the food is produced, the origin of ingredients, the processes, and the result that this food will produce also in them. And the consumer is trying to connect with the different industry, and we have a very close relationship with them, and that is why we need to communicate and to be transparent with our consumers across our supply chain and the production of those ingredients and up to the final production of our product. So we are going to start with the first part of the presentation, getting to know about this conscious consumer, and across the presentation we are going to see the results of our surveys and the interpretation of those results. So as I said before, we are going to have an increased interest about knowing the product that you are consuming or you are buying. And this is something that we have seen for at least 2 years, identifying within our trends. Consumers want to know more about what ingredients are included in our product, the origin of the ingredients, what is the process of a set product, and particularly talking about sustainability, what will be the impact that consuming this product will have in the environment. Particularly about this point, we see more consumers that are more aware about the impact that production has and the waste that the products will also have in our planet. This is something that is happening in the world, but it is true that in each country and a region we will have differences. So we see that economies under development, for example, Chile and Latin America, this is something that will not be very easy to find for the consumer, and this becomes vital for them, and they are demanding this more. But in developed countries, this information has been communicated more, and the consumer already believes that they will receive the communication. At the end, the consumer wants to know what they are eating, and they want these products to be of quality and to have a known origin and a familiar origin. So we are talking about clean eating, and clean eating involves different concepts. The lack of different additives, or to have clean origin food, to have sustainable sources, the product to be minimally processed, or to be ethically responsible. We see the importance, of course, of being more transparent in our supply chain and in our production processes. And the concept of a clean label has evolved over time. So the most important thing as part of this concept is that products won't have additives, will be natural. And then we are adding other concepts to this definition that are more related to the processing of the product and ethical regulations of processing for this product. For example, that this product will be real, or to have recognizable ingredients for the consumer, to have a short list of ingredients that won't be very long, with ingredients that the consumer does not understand. And they are giving importance to the origin of the ingredients to be of proximity, or to not harm any animals in that production process. And we increasingly see products that are claiming this in their packaging, and in a very prominent manner in the front part of their packaging, just as a claim for the consumer. For example, if the product is organic, there's organic coffee, and even in the second product, we can see that the ingredient list is in the front part of the package, and we can see the amount of each ingredient that this product has, or that they indicate that the ingredients are coming from sustainable sources. We mentioned that the green labeling concept is moving towards transparency, but also sustainability of the product, and the concern of this topic has moved very far, especially when we see that climate change is very tangible and part of the future. So based on our surveys that we have carried out every year, we compare results from this year and the previous one, and we can see how consumers every time are more concerned about the environment, and in the decisions, in the purchase decisions, the environmental disclaimers are more important drivers for consumers than anything else. To have a healthy and natural product is important, but the sustainability claims are becoming increasingly more important, and that is evident. And we also need to highlight that the consumers have expectations towards companies for them to invest in products and processes from a sustainability point of view. And this expectation, of course, is on the rise as well. And this is happening at a global level, but at a regional level or by every country, this also changes a bit. We also need to mention that in economies on process of development like Latin America, we are hoping for this change, but this is more subtle in more developed countries because more countries in ways of development will take a longer time to adopt this type of measures. So this is not a very drastic change as it could be in countries that are in ways of development. So as I mentioned before, I remember that one of our surveys some years ago, consumers mentioned that they were expecting more sustainable products, and there is a bigger demand from consumers and for companies to make these changes, but to implement them at the end of the day will have more costs for the company. However, 1 out of 3 consumers are saying that they will pay more for sustainable products, even if this includes, of course, an additional cost. And if we see countries in Europe, they are the most aware when it comes to this type of products, and they are more willing to pay for this type of sustainable products. And of course, all of these changes need to be communicated, and an efficient way of doing so and to communicate with our consumers is by using logos or certifications. And every time we see more logos of this type, these are standardized logos that help us create trust in our consumers. In this graph, we can also see the evolution of the launches that have been made for these products of ethical claim. And we have different types of ethical claims. They could be regarding environment or the treatment of animals, or social levels claims that there is an increase in the use of them, but the environmental claims are the ones that are growing in the biggest manner, and they have surpassed the social claims. For example, we see claims regarding environment. We can have the claims about the reduction in the use of palm oil. We know the damage that this makes, the deforestation of the jungle, and we can see more claims in the front part of packaging as a main claim for these products for the consumers. And finally, we are talking about sustainability and the environmental impact, but we are going to talk about the environmental issues where the consumers consider most urgent actions. And at the global level, the health of our world is the most important thing. This is more important than other topics such as corruption, on political instability. And we saw this in the graph for the claims. Environmental claims are more important than the social claims, so we use this as context on the importance of this topic for consumers. And of course, this will change in societies in Europe. The health of the world is the most important thing, but in Asia, food safety is more important. Also, the plastic waste is the most important topic at the global level. Also, air pollution, and also the use that we have for animals and how we treat them. And this is what we can highlight from our surveys. And also based on countries, we see a great difference. Therefore, when entering a new market, we need to see the importance of understanding who is going to be our next target. Air pollution, lack of water are the most concerning things in Asia and Latin America, but waste management and landfills becomes more important in Indonesia, and of course, because they use the landfills in order to accumulate waste coming from wealthier countries. And for the more stronger economies, we see the treatment of animals, for example, US and Europe, and we also see the plastic waste and the waste in general. And once again, seeing the pocket of each one of the countries, the majority of the consumers are saying that they would like to pay more, are willing to pay more for these products that will help for this type of problems. And economies under development in Asia and Latin America are the ones that agree with this claim the most, because their problems will have a more direct impact on their daily lives. Therefore, they are willing to put more, but not to put more, but to increase the price they will be willing to pay for that type of product. And the topics where we have most chance that consumers concern is about the plastic waste and the treatment of animals. Many of the things that we are going to talk about now are difficult to tackle from the individual point of view, but there are several actions that the consumers can use in order to make their contribution. They can reduce the food waste, to reuse the packaging of food, and to reduce waste is one of the most important topics at a global level, but we also have others, such as to stop using our cars, or avoid flying so much, or to reduce the consumption of dairy and meat. And I'm going to focus on a problem that becomes more severe, and consumers are also very concerned about the deforestation of the jungle. And even though the palm oil is very used, we are also trying to eliminate that from the production of products, and to make this a claim, because we see the claim for palm oil free certification. We see an increase of 40% on this type of products in this recent 5 years. And together with this claim, we also have another one associated to it, which is the rainforestalian, which is a claim that tells us that the jungles are being protected when we produce this product. And facing the future, we see other initiatives in order to improve the environment, and in this case, to produce a zero or neutral impact product is something that is increasingly being used as a claim in products. And also we have the reuse, or to give a second life to ingredients that will be lost, to use them, or to give them an opportunity for creating new products, upcycling ingredients. And it is true that COVID has made us realize about the importance of knowing what we are going to consume, transparency of products across the entire supply chain. The pandemic has been a period of uncertainty, and that is why consumers need to have information to feel safer and to know about what they are eating or using, and that is a way of feeling safer. So consumers want to find products that are natural, transparent, and that have been produced in a responsible manner. Technology is also a great ally. We can communicate with our consumers in an easier manner. And it is curious that emerging economies such as Asia and Latin America are the ones that are most willing, willing to use this type of information. So I would like to finish this presentation. The pandemic has increased the interest of using natural and transparent products coming from responsible sources. Technology is a great ally in order to communicate with our consumers, and every time we see new interests to contribute to the well-being of our environment and facing the future, we will have a zero impact or taking better care of our environment and to reuse our ingredients instead of wasting them.
Very well, Marta Delgado del Rio, Customer Manager of Innova Market Insights. Thank you very much for this presentation, and we hope that our country continues on this road that has given us a great reputation in the international markets, and that situation is going to be transcendental in the following years. Thank you, Marta, for your presentation. And to you, I want to ask you to wait for us for 30 seconds because we're going to connect with the next speaker in this workshop. Let's wait.
Hace unos instantes,
A few moments ago, Marta was telling us about the reliability of the products, and doubtlessly the shipping and freighting companies have a fundamental role in this process, who with innovation, automation, and digitalization have been able to overcome the expectations of our buyers. We're going to contact now Boris Aljaro. He's the head of fruits and vegetables, Costa Oeste, South America of Maersk. Boris, how are you? Please begin your presentation. Hello, how's everybody? Well, thanks for the opportunity of introducing, of presenting. In Maersk, we're in an integration process, an important transformation in logistics, and as a matter of fact, given the main topic that I'm going to talk to you about, I will place this first image where not only we can see a container on an airplane, but also this is what we are doing in integration transformation of logistics. This is going to be the first part of my presentation. Next, the second part, I will talk to you about more contingent matters, explaining what is happening and the reasons that are behind this problem we're suffering in logistics and exporters in exporting fruit. And this is one of the issues that we're going to talk about, and with that I'm going to close this presentation. So, to begin, I'm going to talk to you about our transformation as a company, which has been the great challenge that we began from the beginning of 2019. Here I want to show you, give you an idea of how the journey of Maersk from its beginnings, but I'm going to center more in what came after 2016, 2017, 2018, when Maersk began showing growth and changes in the maritime area in 2017 with the purchase of other companies, which placed us in a very important position in South America, where we have a lot of presence in fruit and vegetables, produce transportation on the coast, not only Chile, Peru, Ecuador, and Bolivia, which are our cluster, the one that we're responsible of. After 2018, we had an important milestone, which meant that Damcock to become integrated to Maersk as part of the beginning of this logistical transformation. This transformation of wanting to focus and provide a twist to our strategy. And this also marked 2019 and the purchase of a customs agent in the United States. So in a way, I want to provide you a first-hand view on how Maersk has grown in history, and I want to concentrate specifically in the latest years, where you're going to see what the trip has been, the journey, and the transformation of Maersk in the last years. Here, going to the last period, and I want to place here as a great milestone in February, the impact that for us at a world level meant the pandemic, which was a milestone that, in a way, found us, in the case of Maersk, found us in the middle of a transformation, in a process that we had already began, and that, in a way, gave us a sort of acceleration, and this was really important. I believe COVID has accelerated a lot of things, in different industries, but I believe logistics was largely demands were placed on them. In February 2020, all this process made our transformation to become accelerated. Another important milestone was the increase of the use of applications and of apps, and this we saw it in our homes, in everyday life, this need to leave in-person life and moving it to a digitized society, and Maersk entered that process to provide these different tools that would allow to look at logistics from another point of view, and also an important step increasing the capacity of the terminals. Only during 2020, the incorporation of a plan of reduction of carbon emissions in our ships, which is a challenge for Maersk, which is gigantic. And today it aims for 2025 become zero carbon emissions. So within 2020, which was a crazy year for everybody, this last point, which I placed it in October, which is the simplification of the maritime area with the logistics. So with this schematic, I believe it was a very important point that affected us, and that I believe that in the end helped Maersk to start this journey that had began in 2019 with the pandemic. Everything was accelerated, and today, where we find ourselves today. Well, moving towards what today Maersk moves 20% of the products that are moved in the world. And what do I want to show you with this? That in terms of what's our market share of the different areas, and at the end of the day, this has allowed us to collect and receive the different needs, concerns of different industries, and specifically of the industry that I'm in charge of, which is the agricultural and fruit exporters and vegetable industries. And this is a great challenge we're facing today. So, going a little more into detail, what is Maersk today? There are 535 offices, 220 warehouses in the world, 723 vessels or ships, 130 offices in 130 countries, 120 container depots, 75 terminals, and 80,000 employees. This is very important because it shows what the network is for Maersk and how, in a way, it has been integrated in adding value to our proposal. And this is what finally we need to work and communicate to you, that finally Maersk is strategically adding value to our proposal. We're aimed, and our focus, especially in fruit, is to be able to enter and, with our network, see what solutions and what responses we can provide exporters when facing a condition that we're going to see is not very favorable. The situation of the refrigerated container exports has been affected by other variables that I'm going to cover in detail, but finally, they're important factors. But I want to leave as a message here, we are an organization, complete organization that today has a great potential, and we are beginning with a very solid base or foundation. And here I want to go into more detail on what is our proposal, our global supply chain. Our proposal, and I want to leave this, more than offering a product or a transport, more than offer a warehouse, more than offer a destination distribution that the customer has under our responsibility, that we can distribute his produce, take it to a warehouse or a refrigeration facility, or generate a packing in origin, or generating warehousing solutions for the packaging. More than being able to offer products, what we want to offer is end-to-end solution, a solution that the customers, and this solution is absolutely dynamic and flexible, because the needs of a segment within the fruit is going to be subject to different variables. Today, for example, there are industries, because we are entering the cherry season, which is a great challenge for 2022, with the Chinese New Year's that is advanced 10 days. So it stresses the logistics, which implies that compared to the previous cherry season, instead of having 8 shippings that would arrive before the Chinese New Year's, so we will have 4 of them arriving to China before the Chinese New Year's. And this generates a certain stress. It generates to have to demand the logistic at the maximum. So the focus of offering solutions is to go find where the needs are, where the main pains of the customers are. In the case of the cherries, where we are also focused on providing a different solution, where the terminals and the warehouses are all packed. Everybody wants to ship the same day. This year, the last season, during the peak weeks, we process about 9 million boxes per week. This year, we expect to process 12 million boxes, which is very good. But we need the containers, we need the availability, the stacking, the ships, and not only that, but also I invite the customers to be able to find different solutions outside, generate alternatives that achieve, in a way, remove the stress of the cores that are very collapsed, which are the terminals and the container depots. Now, moving forward to the point I began talking about, on the solution of the tailor-made solution, today, finally, that's what we're trying to find in different areas. In the case of cherries, for example, we're also in the process of shipping of avocados, where you know that the markets are changing, that the customs are changing, the demands are changing, and us as a company as a logistical company, are willing to offer a solution and to the problems of each exporter. So here, this journey from the meeting with the customer, where then we establish which are the needs, which are the problems or deficiency in the logistical chain of a customer, we provide a proposal, and that proposal is going to be composed depending on the customer, because of different products, freight, warehousing, refrigerated storage, customs processing, maritime or air freight. Everything is in our coordination team. We have a team that is in charge of all the coordination of logistics, and it's very important that this coordination of this team, who are based on integration not only for the contracts or the freights the customers have with Maersk and the group, Maersk, Chile, with the suppliers, which has an overarching operation to have an integrated solution like we do, that the customer can just dedicate to his business, his fruit, to have the best quality, to invest as much as possible, all his resources, in having the best fruit. And we will do the rest without investing in infrastructure, in staff, in logistics. We're going to be there doing it for him. So here we have a focus of Maersk in the utilization of the infrastructure we have, plus what we can preparing as a solution for customers. So definitely, when a more and more competitive world, and with exporters and the condition of exports of freight, of fruit, for example, has changed a lot in the last 15 years. Chile has had to face the last 15 years, practically 15, 20 years ago. Chile was a leader in export of fresh fruit in the coast. And in time, a competitor entered the market, which is Peru, with other stops. I wouldn't talk about cost because the cost is quite similar. But where they have been winning is in Peru is in the scale. They do that, they're more competitive, they're larger, they have more volume. They're an example. This season, Peru probably is going to be exporting 22,000 containers of avocados, and 60% of the destination is Europe, 30% is the US, and the rest Asia. And that has been changing, but it has brought a challenge to Chile on how to become more efficient. We're not alone as exporters and leaders on the coast. We have a competitor with a scale which is different for us. The volumes they have achieved not only in avocados, berries, grapes, makes us more efficient. So the idea, the invitation by Maersk for this logistics integration and to achieve scale economies that we can achieve together, and that the customer can finally compete in this so aggressive market we find ourselves in. Here, the visibility. Here, I want to mention that we're developing now a platform that's already developed together with IBM in the digitalization, the global change that goes aimed to provide visibility to the customers in one platform that they can upload all the documents electronically of the shipper, customs agent, freighter, all the bodies that take part in the logistical chain can have access and upload their documentation, and the customers finally do not depend on the physical part or instead in the line of the digital integration of this. So, here, finishing the logistical part, I wanted to enter in a more specific matter that all of us are interested in. What's happening, what's the behavior at a world level, and a lot more than what we think is generating an impact in our economy, in our products. Today, for example, the raise of tariffs has been dramatic. Here we can see in graphs that, for example, the oil and also the maritime rates or tariffs and the trend upwards, the maritime rate or at the end of the 2020, we saw the same raises in rates, where we see that finally on 2021, maybe you have heard rates that approximately, well, they've never been seen this high. We've been years in the industry, and this has been a totally new experience when facing the increase of rates or tariff. So what it shows here is basically the import rate, the import tariffs, that the export rates of refrigerated loads or cargo is also on the rise. So the strategy defined by each company that export fruits in Chile, for example, the cherry season, the pre-summer season, and then the summer season, grapes, peaches, and the message is that the rates are going up, and this is an issue that we don't see is going to change at least during the 2021-2022 season. And I believe this is an issue that where we have a lot of discussions, and I believe it's a very important way of viewing one of the main costs of the logistical chain. And this obviously is affecting different parts of logistics, and this we'll see this more in detail. So, and I want to leave with a last message here, and I believe that it's important to bring it to the discussion, the issue that Peru, who begins earlier, so they have a raise of more than $2,000 from the last season. It's a reality, and that shows that the markets are accepting these cost raises. So here, another result of the lack of containers, these containers have been trapped, and a little bit to show that many have found out of the problems where we have port jams, and this. We have the three main reasons we've had. We've had to work on as a logistics operator, which has generated this slowness of the movement of containers in the world, and this has meant finally a delay of the return of the empty containers, the reefer containers, where normally moved. We have tripled the time of return of a container, and these are the factors to be considered in the relationship of the coming seasons. Well, we all know the increase of the inspections as well. The authorities have taken measures. The inspections are more detailed, and we have a series of issues that today are playing a key role, and that in a way are affecting the logistics and possibly the refrigerated container. We were very wrong, and we also had issues with COVID that affected the sale of the cherries in China. Also, the lack of staff in the warehouses, and we saw here a decrease in productivity of the warehouses, and also strikes, etc. And the last about the photo that we're seeing here, which is the congestion on ports. The ports are suffering congestion, and also adding certain factors that I would like to add here. Today we have climate factors that are affecting very strongly the operation of the ports. In Rotterdam, there's a delay of more than 2 weeks for the ships. You can here come closer. San Antonio today, due to rough seas, the operation of the ships is being affected. So there's a series of factors: winter, rough seas, climate issues that we know that regretfully it is an effect of global warming, and that these factors are playing an important role, added to this sum of problems that we have today and we're measuring today. Well, here, what we have, this is what's been generated, and here it's important to play the role of the bottlenecks that have been generated from different areas of logistics. And this has been an issue where we're looking at and to see how to solve it, to get to the indication to exporters to find solutions which are different to the ones that we're used to finding. So they were usually a lot simpler, but today it's a reality that we're living, which is the lack of containers, the lack of chassis, the capacity, warehousing capacity, which has also suffered an important demand increase. And I wanted to point out that there's a very important factor here, which is that the imports have, ending September 2021, the exports, removing the fuel imports and everything that is not fuel, increased by 30% when compared to the same period in 2020. And mainly we're talking about retail and home consumption. And if we compare how exports have evolved, removing copper from it, the export versus September. So we show that there's an imbalance, a gigantic imbalance from the level of different countries that generate these problems and this stress or bottlenecks that did not exist before because the logistics was not prepared. To a 30% of increase in imports was focused in a couple of industries. Why? Because people stayed at home, they were consuming more things. The trend has changed, and this is finally causing bottlenecks that didn't exist before. Terminals and ports. So what's a transportation company? I believe that more than one has suffered problems with transportation companies, delays, and withdrawing containers from the ports or the warehouses, increase in capacity problems of availability of drivers for trucks. So everything has become more and more complicated on the side of transportation, and this has generated bottlenecks and costs, raising costs in the logistical chain. And also the train, that has been a solution to a certain extent, but a train has limitations in terms of they have a lot less flexibility. So this is an important factor that they're playing to finding this logistics that is in trouble, and we need to find solutions, and we need to build something different. This is the invitation by Merck. Here also, you may have seen the capacity of the ports. It has been the operation overall in terminals, the congestion on the different ports, that makes the trust in shipping companies to go down. So with a shipping of a container from San Antonio to Rotterdam or the United States or Philadelphia or Hong Kong or Shanghai, the times are today difficult to confirm. And the customers ask me, how long are you going to take? How's your estimate transit? Today we have a higher variability. We as Merck have worked on trying to minimize this uncertainty of the transit times, which has placed us in a ranking of #1 with a higher percentage of compliance, above 45% compared with the rest of the competition. And this has been a great effort by the company from within the difficulties that we face today and be able to provide some compliance of the transit time services and the shippings of the different customers for the different markets. Now, this has been a very large challenge for Merckx, but we know that under 50% is very bad. We need to continue developing and working, but in a way we remain calm because we're #1 in the ranking. So here, there's an important issue, which is, and everybody asks, well, the ship, how many ships are there? How many ships are you building? And this takes time. But in the end, we deliver more shipping capacity, but what's generated when you have more capacity is that the increase is limited, and it causes the congestion in the ports, and the chain is less efficient because the market can't tell that this logistics or this operation can improve. Because finally, to be able to compensate this reduction on operation times, you need a lot more capacity, and takes us to the serious problems, which is lack of containers, lack of capacity, because several times, and the large question is, the market asks in general, where are the containers? And that is one of the great reasons that containers are where they're not needed. And the reefer specifically, because the reefer container today is container with a container that didn't compete. Today, reefers compete with retail containers. So, 10, 15, $19, $1,000. So this has generated an additional value where that container is more costly to return to the original loading point. So today we're generating conditions that are not favoring the movement of these, of the free containers at a world level, and this is affecting not only Maersk but several industries. And I want to be very specific. The lack of containers, of reefer containers, is establishing a problem for the industry. Maersk is being as transparent as it can with the customers to show their actual capacities and which are the solutions. And here we have something very important, and I invite you to we can continue talking about this in terms of the solutions that Maersk can provide, because that will be generating work, and we're available to generate long-term contracts and logistics, which in a way the customer can have an integrated solution and can remain calm that we are going to take his load not only from the port but from his packing, or at some time when it's brought from the field. So the idea is to generate integration contracts, generate a logistics that allows the customer to be focused on my segment, and we can provide guidance in the logistics. So, to close, what are the efforts that are being we're finding different tools and roads to be able to achieve and minimize these effects. So finally, there are many improving the containers and also the capacity, load capacity, using other transportation models, not only the classics, and here we see as the issue of cherry and blackberries, and Maersk today offers the air freight alternative as part of the solution, using other transportation models, repositioning the ships to be able to optimize our network. This is one of the issues that is constantly being developed and that addressing the needs of the customers. Because the customers, what are the customers offering or requiring today? And based on that, we're constantly updating our network. And lastly, I want to leave one last figure for you. What's today the container capacity of the industry? Important with the role that Maersk is playing, and I believe that we are in a very good position to be able to generate a comprehensive solution for the customers, not only in the sea freight, but or ground freight and also air freight, with a comprehensive solution. So with this, I end my presentation, and I hope you have liked it and delivered information regarding what's happening in the world and what today we have to find, and we hope that you approach us and try to state your main issues and give us the opportunity of generating a proposal, because today the trend and what it was said in the beginning about this competitors that have generated that are our neighbors, where the indication is that dedicate to where you can generate the difference, an important difference, which is in your product. And let us, the logistics operators, be efficient and move this efficiency towards you with this network that Maersk has at the world level and which is operational. So today our proposal is that you do what you do, where you make a difference in the fruit, and we generate the difference in logistics. Thank you very much. Boris Alcaro, Head of Fruits and Vegetables, West Coast, South America of Maersk. Thank you very much for your presentation. We also thank Marta Delgado from Innova Market Insight to be with us this day. The challenges and opportunities were already defined, and we leave you with all the success of all your processes. We end the transmissions today, and we will continue with the roundtables and business meetings between buyers and sellers. And all the information on the activities, you can find it on www.prochile.gov.cl, and e-ENEXPRO, FruitTrade Food and Future 2021 will continue tomorrow with the workshop Araucanía Day, Opportunities in Central America and the Caribbean. We will be waiting for you on the 24-hour streaming signal, which is your carbon footprint.cl. We will reconvene tomorrow. Have a nice day.